Hey, everybody, welcome to Vince. Great to have you with us on a Tuesday. We got another busy show for you today, and I'm not sure we're going to be able to get to everything. Hunter Biden is spilling all of the secrets of the left, and he is very mad that they totally Julius Caesar's his dad, which, by the way, he deserved. But anyway, it's also great. We've got the update on that particular thing. I do have updates from the on the Epstein saga this morning. I've got breaking news on that, so we've got to talk about that, and also some new information on how John Brennan has been lying to everybody about the starting factors of Russiagate. Boy, a lot to get to. I'm so glad you're here. And yes, I'm dressed up. I'm dressed up today. I've got things to do, but I'll just tell you. Should I say that? No, I did it for you. I dressed up for you. But I also have things to do today. More ahead on the Vince Show. I have to thank our sponsors. What if you could delay your next 2 mortgage payments? That's right. Imagine putting those 2 payments in your pocket and finally getting a little bit of breathing room. It's possible when you call American Financing today. Yes, indeed. If you're feeling stretched by everyday expenses, groceries, gas, bills piling up, you're not alone. Most Americans are putting those expenses on a credit card, and there doesn't seem to be a way out. American Financing can show you how to use your home's equity to pay off that debt. You need to call American Financing today before you get to a point where you can't make those payments. Their salary-based mortgage consultants are helping homeowners just like you restructure their loans and consolidate debt, all without upfront fees. And their customers are saving an average of $800 a month. That's like $10,000 in a raise. It's fast. It's simple, and it really could save your budget this summer. Call now before it's too late. 888-879-6460. That's 888-879-6460. AmericanFinancing.net/Vince. NMLS number 182334. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Man, oh yes, it's episode 90 that Chad is noticing here. That's great news. If you really want to treat, go back to episode 88 and see how we started that. I'll just give you a hint. It involves Frank Fugazi. We started episode 88 that way, but it is episode 90 of the program. I will tell you that I wasn't sure my voice was going to be intact for today's show. I got home yesterday. Actually, I was on my way home yesterday from this studio driving. It takes me about 45 minutes or so on a good day to get back to the house. I'm on my way. Halfway there, I get a phone call from my wife. Isaac, I haven't told you this story. Isaac sits in the studio with me here. I get a phone call, and it's frantic. She's panicked. The dogs got out, she says. The dogs got out. And I said, what? The dogs? You know, Major. Those of you who follow the podcast in detail know my dog, Major. I've also got Raina. She's a little crazier, hard to put on camera. But the dogs got out. How did that happen? Well, we had our pest control guy apparently came by, and when they come by, they spray around the perimeter of the house. So earlier in the day, the guy came in and he popped open one of my gates to my backyard and never closed it. Walked the perimeter of the property, left, and so when my wife let the dogs out yesterday to use the bathroom to go, they just went out the door. They just left. Now, it used to be in the old days that Major would hang around the property because Major's pretty good about it. He knows where my property line is, and he knows that I don't really want him to go too far, so he sticks around. But now that Raina's a part of our life, and Raina just does whatever she wants, she heads off. Major just follows her, you know. And then I get this panicked call from my wife. The dogs are gone. And I go, okay, but they have their collars on? No, they don't have their collars on. So no collar, no GPS tracker. Raina's got a GPS tracker on the collar for obvious reasons. Nothing, no tags on them. They're out there just naked in public right now, just running around like 2 fugitives, nudist fugitives, just running around the neighborhood. No idea where they are. So I will say I accelerated my vehicle to levels that, you know, were aggressive in order to get home, in order to find these dogs. And so my poor wife and daughter are running all over the neighborhood, screaming out the windows, trying to get, especially to Major, because Major's the obedient one. Come back, come back. Finally, I get back to the house, and I go, where are these dogs? And we have no idea, that we haven't seen them. All right, so I get out there, and I start walking the neighborhood. I'm yelling like crazy. I'm just burning out whatever's left of my voice. We went, you know, as every day, we do 4 hours of media. I do this show. We do 3 hours of radio. Now I'm screaming at the top of my lungs for Major all over my neighborhood. Nothing. Let me tell you, the story does have a good ending. After I think it was an hour and a half of hunting for these dogs, having no idea where they were, just praying. We live kind of near some busy roads, so I was very nervous that one of these things, one if not both of them, was going to be taken out by traffic. It just killed me. The girls were not happy. The girls were panicked. Man, a lot of life lessons in the midst of all of this. And finally, one of our neighbors jumps in his car. He starts driving around the neighborhood. I had a guy come by the house yesterday. He was going to put some fertilizer out on my grass. Great guy, Scott. He's a wonderful human being. Scott shows up and he goes, "What's going on?" I'm like, "The dogs are out." And he goes, "You want me to help you find them?" I was like, "If you can, yeah, fantastic." We have 4 cars all traveling the neighborhood. And Scott, God bless him, pulls up on my dogs, finds them, calls me, "Vince, I found them." I show up. Major's already playing dead because Major just loves being pet. So Major's like rolled over on his back. He's getting his belly pet. I find Raina. Raina's like skitzing out, running all over the place. I finally corner her, grab her, pick her up, and I just drop her in my car. The story ends really well. The dogs get home. The women of my life, deep sighs of relief. Total madness. I was telling producer Jim this story today. Jim's like, "That's horrible. What a horrible story. I can't even believe this happened to you." Jim has a very soft spot for dogs. He can't even imagine losing his dog. It was a nightmare. So let me just begin today by saying, hug the ones who are close to you, including your animals. They're wonderful. And check your gates before you let them out to use the bathroom. Just a good reminder. I know. Fellas, Major, hey, are you complaining about the dog story, Lemon Laser? Your name's Lemon Laser. Start with working on your name instead of complaining about me saving Major's life. Yeah, the dogs are microchipped, by the way, guys. The microchip issue was not the problem. I was worried about the traffic. But Lemon Laser, I've got it out for you, buddy. Oh, don't talk about the dogs. No. The dogs mean something to me. The dogs mean something to me. We got them back. So good news today. Hey, Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden is completely out of control, and now he's doing it on camera. I've got some great news for you today. Hunter Biden shows up. He does this interview with a guy called, I think he calls himself All Gas, No Brakes. And I've seen his stuff through the years. He's kind of a Napoleon Dynamite type character. He shows up, he interviews people at political rallies, talks to them at various protests. That's fine. He does that on YouTube. And Hunter Biden agreed to sit with him for, fellas, what was that, a 3-hour interview? It was like 2 or 3. It was a long interview. I haven't watched the whole thing. I've just seen a lot of clips from it. And every clip I've seen is full-blown crazy pants. It is nuts what's going on. Hunter Biden revealed yesterday that somebody pumped his dad full of Ambien before he did the debate. He said the explainer for why his dad was Sleepy Joe on that crazy debate stage was the Ambien. Take a look at Hunter Biden making the claim.
I know exactly what happened in that debate. He flew around the world, basically, and the mileage that he could have flown around the world 3 times.
Yeah.
He's 81 years old. He's tired as shit. They give him Ambien to be able to sleep. He gets up on the stage, and he looks like he's a deer in the headlights.
Ambien? Okay, let me assume for a moment that what Hunter Biden is saying is totally true. Do you need any more evidence that they rigged this thing against Joe? I know today, what's probably happening is that the media are just ignoring this story. But if it's true, look, we already knew that Joe had cognition problems. Obviously, everybody could see them. They gave him Ambien before the debate. Are you serious about that? Well, then the fix was in. They drugged the president of the United States to make his already awful performance more awful as a predicate to stab him in the back and remove him from the race, to foreclose on any democratic process whatsoever, and to install Kamala Harris? Are you not sensing all of the moving parts here? I'm loving this, by the way. Hunter Biden, just keep telling me exactly what happened here. They gave Ambien to the guy, is the claim from Hunter Biden. Okay. Here's Hunter attacking establishment Democrats yesterday. Cut 2. Take a look. He's got a lot to say.
Opinions, but fuck him. Fuck him and everybody around him.
I don't have to be fucking nice. Number one, I agree with Quentin Tarantino. Fucking George Clooney is not a fucking actor. He is a fucking, I don't know what he is. He's a brand. Fuck you. What do you have to do with fucking anything? Why do I have to fucking listen to you? What right do you have to step on a man who's given 52 years of his fucking life to the service of this country and decide that you, George Clooney, are going to take out basically a full-page ad in the fucking New York Times to me and James Carville, who hasn't run a race in 40 fucking years, and David Axelrod, who had one success in his political life, and that was Barack Obama. And that was because of Barack Obama, not because of fucking David Axelrod. And David Plouffe, and all of these guys, and the Pod Save America guys, who were junior fucking speechwriters in, on Barack Obama's Senate staff, who have been dining out on the relationship with him for years, making millions of dollars. The Anita Dunns of the world, who's made $40-50 million off the Democratic Party. They're all going to insert their judgment over a man who has figured out, unlike anybody else, how to get elected to the United States Senate over 7 times. How to pass more legislation than any president in history. How to have a better midterm election than anybody in history, and how to garner more votes than any president that has ever run. And they're going to replace their judgment for his. Who's Jake Tapper's audience? Jake Tapper?
My mom or something? I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
For real, though. I don't even think it's your mom anymore.
No.
By the numbers.
Dude, he wants to burn it all down. And I'm right here handing him the gasoline. Please, Hunter, tell us more. Hell, Hunter Biden, come on this program. Come on this program. Let's talk to Hunter Biden. Let's have him on. Who else do you hate among the Democrats? Tell us what really happened. Tell us all about Russiagate. How did they rig everything against President Trump? Tell us all the details. What's Biden's relationship with Obama like? How evil is Barack Obama exactly? Give us everything. He wants to burn it down. And you can tell why. Hunter Biden's motivations are his financial interests, which have completely dried up. His macaroni art is not selling anymore because he has no access to power, and he resents everyone who put him in that position. In fact, I hear him talking with much more aggression about every single Democrat that stabbed Joe Biden in the back than I've ever heard him talk about any Republican, to include Donald Trump. You hear how pissed off he is? By the way, we missed a chance there, Justin. We should have put a fuck counter on the bottom of that clip. Holy cow. Yeah. That's that famous Biden eloquence on display as Hunter Biden just going absolutely crazy. Yeah, let him burn it down. Let him burn it down. More Hunter interviews, please. I can't get enough. Tell us more. What do you really think of all of these people? You like that attack he had on George Clooney? Who are you? Who are you to be able to throw my father out of the race? And then he goes on a 60-second rant about how much he hates George Clooney. Well, it turns out, I hate to deliver the bad news to you, Hunter, George Clooney wields an unbelievable amount of power in your party, which is really pathetic that a party would turn the keys over to the Ocean's 11 guy, but they did. Where does he rank in terms of the Batmans, George Clooney? How do we feel about that, Justin? Is he up there? Val Kilmer, maybe? I don't know. Christian Bale is up there. He's very intense, that Christian Bale. Anyway, George Clooney did it once. In the most cartoonish version of the live action Batman. Adam West. Let's go with Adam West. He's the best. Anyway, you've got George Clooney in charge of the party, which is actually another way of saying Barack Obama is in charge of it. But he is such a passive aggressive tool that instead of calling in the hit himself, instead of actually coming out and saying, let's take out Joe, it's time to get rid of him, he calls up George and he's like, hey, you're running up in the New York Times? You attacked Joe? Take him out. And he does. Clooney does it dutifully, because Obama and George need to spend time at the villa in Italy again, and they don't want it to be awkward. So if Obama demands it, George does it, and that's how they axed Joe Biden. Hunter's furious about it. Who are you? Who are you? It turns out he's a guy who has a lot of power over your party, which is a very pathetic thing to say, a pathetic reality to acknowledge. Let me see here. What else do we have from the Hunter Biden interview? Oh, this is great. The cocaine investigation at the White House. Now, probably like everyone else, you suspected that the cocaine at the White House belonged to the guy who loves cocaine, Hunter Biden. Here is Hunter Biden insisting, cut 4, that the cocaine was not his, baby. Not mine, baby, I swear.
They're opening up an investigation to cocaine that was found in a cubby outside the West Wing of the White House.
I think it was Don Jr.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about old White House.
Yeah, when my dad was there.
Oh, so they just got to blame you automatically.
Yeah, I mean, they're literally going to do an FBI, another congressional investigation, because they've convinced themselves that it had to be me, that there was a little tiny. And I guess my point of even bringing it up is that no. I have been clean and sober since June of 2019, and I have not touched a drop of alcohol or a drug, and I'm incredibly, incredibly proud of that.
And why would you bring cocaine to the White House?
Why would I bring cocaine to the White House, stick it into a cubby outside the Situation Room in the West Wing when I wasn't there? Anyway, this must, who the fuck knows?
And politicians, I mean, they do blow, right?
They do blow, says Napoleon Dynamite. So he goes, why would I make a bad decision? Hunter Biden, of all people. Me? Make a bad decision? No, that would never happen. Cocaine at the White House? Me? Like an altar boy. I would never do that. Really? Would you ever leave, say, your entire laptop of all of your Biden family business dealings behind at some sort of laptop repair shop and then abandon it and then, allow the entire world to discover the corrupt contents? Would you ever do that? Would you ever dispose of a handgun in a dumpster in the midst of some sort of fight? Obtain it fraudulently, lie on a federal background check about your drug usage to do that? Would you ever do that? Would you ever blow up your entire family by cheating on your first wife with your brother-in-law's widow? With your brother's widow? I think so. I think that would happen. I don't think Hunter's going to do the interview, Justin. I don't think he's going to show up on the show. But this is Hunter assessing, they thought the crack was mine. They thought the cocaine was mine. How could they possibly think that? I don't know. Your entire life story might be a good start. Here's another one. Hunter talked about cocaine in detail yesterday on this podcast with Napoleon Dynamite. And he said he loves this stuff. He really loves it. Here's cut 6. Hunter Biden talking about his obsession with cocaine.
The only difference between crack cocaine and cocaine is sodium bicarbonate and water and heat, literally. That's it.
And those things are pretty much free if you go to like a science store.
This is free. You can go to your neighborhood convenience store and just get. Anyway, I don't want to tell people how to make crack cocaine, but it literally is a mayonnaise jar, cocaine, and baking soda.
How different is the experience?
It's vastly, vastly different. And like for real, I feel really reluctant to kind of have some euphoric discussion. I know you're not asking me to do that, but have some euphoric discussion about crack cocaine.
I think this might be kind of the opposite here.
Okay, no, it's the exact opposite. I'm saying I don't want to have the experience of some euphoric recall. That's how powerful crack cocaine is. Does crack cocaine make you act any differently? No. Is it safer than alcohol? Probably. People think of crack as being dirty. It's the exact opposite. When you make crack, what you're doing is you're burning off all the impurities so that it combines with the sodium bicarbonate, which makes it smokable. That's all. All of these actors and, people in the past that talked about they had a problem with cocaine and freebasing. They were smoking crack.
So straw on the stove is the same thing?
Not exactly, but close to it. But it's a little bit different. But anyway.
Oh, my goodness. I can't even believe what I'm listening to. I can't even believe what I'm listening to. He's like, man, you start talking about cocaine. He was practically drooling. He was like salivating in the middle of that. He's clearly addicted. I totally believe him. He's not lying about that. Totally addicted, which is crazy and sad. It's sad that he got to that position in his life. Oh, good for him for conquering it if he has, I guess. He says he's conquered it since June of, 2019? That's good, if that's true. But you can see why people think it was yours. Just look at the way he talks about it. You can kind of see why people think it was yours at the White House. Why would I do that? Why would I do that? I don't know. Like that clip was highly suggestive that that's actually precisely what you would do. Hunter Biden, of course, was more with it than his father. And a lot of us believe that he was exerting influence over the White House in order to enrich himself because, again, we've tracked the course of his involvement in Joe Biden's politics. In a moment, I'm going to share with you his philosophy for how we deal with the illegal immigration crisis, the illegal alien crisis. Here's a hint: to make it a lot worse. In case you're wondering, why did Joe Biden kick open the borders and then import millions of foreign nationals? This Hunter Biden answer may give you a big answer to that in a moment. Hey, do you think about aging? Do you think about it at all? The effect it has on you and your body? I've noticed as I get older, my energy goes down. And I kind of feel all the aches and the pains, as you get a little bit older, they really start to become more and more apparent. And what you want to do, and what I've been trying to do, is figure out ways to get my energy back. And I'm excited to share with you C15 from Fatty 15. It's great. It's the first essential fatty acid to be discovered in more than 90 years. Fatty 15 co-founder Dr. Stephanie Van Watson discovered the benefits of C15 while working with the U.S. Navy. And based on studies, we do know that when our cells don't have enough C15, they can actually age faster. Fatty 15 can help repair and protect age-related damage to cells and help activate pathways in the body that repair mechanisms that support your overall wellness. Fatty 15 is science-backed. Look it up, seriously. It's award-winning, it's vegan, it's 100% pure C15 supplement, and refills are shipped right to your door. Fatty 15 is on a mission to optimize your C15 levels to help support your long-term health and wellness, especially as you age. You can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/Vince. Use the code Vince at checkout. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Fatty15.com/Vince. Thank you to Fatty15. I take it every day. Love it. Okay. So Hunter Biden on our border crisis. Now, I just want to remind you that anytime you hear somebody say that Biden failed to secure the border, they're missing the point. Biden didn't fail to secure the border. He opened it up and imported in millions of foreign nationals who should not be here. And he did it at your expense. Spent a lot of our money in order to bring all these people in. And now President Trump is trying to clean the mess up. He's deported a lot of people as a result of that. Hunter Biden is angry about this. He's angry. And in fact, he's so angry that this president is reversing Joe Biden's sins that he says the only way to fix this now, meaning to make it worse again, is to invade El Salvador. Take a look here. Cut 3. Hunter Biden says we should invade El Salvador and kidnap their citizens.
How are we getting those people back from fucking El Salvador? Because I'll tell you what, if I became president in 2 years from now, or 4 years from now, or 3 years from now, I would pick up the phone and call the fucking president of El Salvador and say, you either fucking send them back or I'm going to fucking invade. It's a fucking crime what they're doing. He's a fucking dictator thug.
Bukele or Trump?
Both.
I love how he has no idea when the presidential election is in that clip. Did you hear that, Justin? He said, if I become president in maybe 2 years or maybe 3 years or maybe 4 years, no, go on. We want to hear how high you can get. Well, how high can you count, Hunter? We got to go in there and fucking invade and fucking kidnap everybody and fucking bring them back. Remind me exactly, what nationality are the people that we'd be taking from El Salvador and bringing into the United States? I believe they're Salvadoran. We'd be invading El Salvador to grab Salvadorans and to kidnap them and separate them from their families, mind you, and bring them into the United States of America. For what purpose exactly? To restore the chaos that your father brought to the country? So, yeah, no, I'm not voting. Just to be clear, I'm not voting for Hunter in 2 years or 3 or 4. I'm not supporting the Hunter presidency again. We've had enough of the Hunter presidency, and thankfully it's over. Boy, he's angry though, man. That money has dried up, and it's not coming anymore. Hunter Biden. Lastly, there was a clip going around. Oh, that's right, Hunter Biden. We didn't pull this one, fellas. So let me see if I can find it real fast. I think this is worth it. Hunter talking about bringing in illegals. He wants illegals as slaves. The chat is pointing this clip out. His whole thing is like, we need illegals. Oh, here we go. This is perfect. Anna Paulina Luna grabs it for us. Thank you to the Congresswoman for grabbing this clip. Let me see here. Will this play? That's the trick. Yes, I think it will. It will. Here we go. All right. Go ahead, Justin. Give it to the fine people.
For someone? Am I going to be like all these Democrats say, you have to talk about and realize that people are really upset about illegal immigration? Fuck you. How do you think your hotel room gets cleaned? How do you think you got food on your fucking table? Who do you think washes your dishes? Who do you think does your fucking garden? Who do you think is here?
Does your garden?
Fucking sheer fucking just grit and will that they figured out a way to get here because they thought that they could give themselves and their family a better chance. And he's somehow convinced all of us that these people are the fucking criminals. For someone,
they're doing it again. Democrats are doing it again. What are we going to do? Who's going to be our underpaid servant if we deport all of these people? Who's going to do our garden? Did you hear that? He said, who's going to do my garden? I don't know. Why don't you do it yourself? Or why don't you pay an American citizen to do your garden at a fair wage? Oh, but we'll have to pay more. Yes, you will. That's kind of the point. You know, have you noticed that, first of all, the history of the entire Democrat Party is exploitation of any underclass they can get their hands on in order to serve them. That is the entire history of the Democrat Party. The rest of it, all the policy debates are merely window dressing to support that status. It's obviously true. But this thing, have you noticed that Democrats will say something like, we need to tax the rich more. The rich need to pay their fair share. Have you heard this argument? The rich should pay their fair share. That's funny. Well, first of all, the Democrats are made up mostly of a party of the super and absurdly wealthy and the government dependent. That really is the composition of the Democrat Party. The rest of the normal, hardworking American electorate, they're Republicans, by and large. I'm not saying Republicans are great, but they're a much better party than the Democrats on this question and so many others. And so the attitude of these Democrats is that we just need to continue to exploit an underclass and underpay them. Well, wait a second. You just said that the rich need to pay their fair share. I have an idea. You want the rich to pay their fair share? Have them hire American citizens to do jobs. You don't need to steal money from the rich through compulsory taxation. Just make the labor market fair. The rich will pay more to have their garden done because they'll be paying American citizens legitimate wages to do it. And again, not an illegal alien imported servant class. But that's not what the left says at all. They're not calling on their rich donor class to lift up American workers. That's not what they're calling for at all. They just think, well, if we just lift taxes, that'll make everything better. Then if you concentrate more power in the government, that gives us more power. If you concentrate more wealth in the government, that gives us more wealth for our own corrupt purposes. It has nothing to do with helping people on the bottom rungs of society. It has nothing to do with helping Americans out. It's just the way that these guys act. It's just, and it really is so completely revealing. And Hunter Biden is in many ways the spirit animal for the left's most delusional positions. There he is, vocalizing them. And as the great Dan Bongino has said many times through the years about the Republicans, they're not the solution to your problems, but the Democrats sure are the cause. More evidence has been entered, Your Honor, into that particular thing. All right. Coming up, we've got a lot more to get to. We've got a great interview coming up with Bobby Sauce. Bobby Sauce is here. We're going to chat with Bobby Sauce. I've never talked to Bobby Sauce before. I'll get to do that coming up in a moment. He's a great commentator, comedian, conservative, great guy. That's just ahead here on Vince. Have you heard of Caralluma by any chance? It's an edible cactus that grows in India. It's believed to be a natural appetite suppressant. Caralluma is just one of the natural ingredients that doctors have added to a remarkable weight loss supplement called Lean from Brickhouse Nutrition. If you have a bold summer weight loss goal, but injections are not for you, here's what the doctors who formulated Lean said. They said this supplement is as close as we've come to the benefits of those popular injections. Now, like injections, Brickhouse Nutrition's Lean was created to help maintain healthy blood sugar and help control appetite and cravings. But the rare ingredients in Lean are also designed to help burn fat by converting it into energy. And the best part, no needles, just real results. Their doctors created a healthier way to lose weight by capturing the power of natural ingredients like Caralluma. It's just smart. Let's get you started. With 20% off, just use the code VINCE20 at TakeLean. TakeLean.com. That's code Vince20 at TakeLean.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease, and it's not a substitute or alternative for care from a healthcare provider. Our thanks to Brickhouse Nutrition, as always. And also thanks to Birch Gold. Really appreciate Birch Gold for being a great sponsor of the program. It's difficult for this administration to take all of our personal finances into account when they're trying to do what's right for the country. You've got to do that for yourself and for your family. And this is why tens of thousands of Americans are buying gold right now from Birch Gold. Here are the facts for you. Very straightforward. In the past 12 months, the value of gold has actually gone up by as much as 40%. Many central banks, well, they continue to bolster demand for that gold by buying it in record quantities. And global instability and tension, well, it could be the highest it's been in decades. But you can find peace of mind in gold. Birch Gold makes it extremely easy to convert an existing IRA or a 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or just buy some to store at home. Just text my name, Vince, to 989898. And Birch Gold is going to send you a free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, only useful information. With an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, it's time for you to take control of your savings today. Just text the word Vince to 989898. Data and message rates apply. Our thanks to Birch Gold, as always. Yes, indeed. Okay. Joining us now, I'm happy to say, is Bobby Sauce. He's a comedian, political commentator. You can find him on X at Bobby Sausalito. Bobby, great to have you on the show, sir. Thanks for joining me today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Okay, the Democrats are trying to figure out what went wrong last year in 2024. The Democrats, they just did they're in the midst of what they call a postmortem, which is what you do after death. And looking back, how did he die? How did the party just lose so catastrophically? The New York Times reports this weekend that the one thing that they're refusing to look at is the decision to make Joe Biden the candidate and then to replace him with Kamala Harris. Other than those two things, everything's on the table. What do you think of this, Bobby?
I think that was probably the most obvious thing that could have been clear to anybody at any time. And what's actually crazy is that had they actually run the open convention, and I'm not like a political expert by any stretch, but had they actually run that open convention and gotten the pulse of the people, they actually may have been able to find a better candidate and actually win with that candidate. The fact that Joe Biden got out so late is just part of the equation. But the fact that Kamala was in fact so bad was the other part, the death blow, I guess.
But I think the whole argument that Kamala Harris, if she only had more time, it would have been better for her. I think it would have been worse, Bobby. I think the more exposure we had to Kamala, the less likely it was that Americans were going to get a serious case of the Kamalas.
Yeah, I think that's obvious. I mean, it's like she was really never hired because of her likability from the start. She fulfilled a specific set of immutable characteristic boxes, and that was clearly why they chose her from the start. And then they were pumping her as if everybody had liked her all along, which it seemed like nobody did. Then they kind of tried to pretend that they had like picked her and loved her and carried her since the start when she really hadn't been in the forefront for very long.
What do you make of Hunter Biden deciding to come out right now at this moment, and he's torching every establishment Democrat that he can even remember? He's angry at all of them: David Axelrod, David Plouffe, Nancy Pelosi, Rahm Emanuel, who else? The Raging Cajun, James Carville. He hates all of them because he thinks that his dad was betrayed. He thinks correctly that his dad was betrayed by them. The left really hates that Hunter's doing this. What do you think, Bobby?
Well, I think it's hilarious that anybody would really care what Hunter has to say at all. So it's almost like if he didn't come out and say crazy things like that, who would even want to put him on the air? And now that he's got his immunity, he basically could care less. He could burn the mother down. The guy could have committed any multitude of crimes over the last 10 years or whatever it was that he got his conditional pardon. So now he's just making hay when the sun shines. And I think it's funny how he did this show with Andrew Callahan called Channel 5 News, which was like a very like gotcha kind of like joking documentary thing from 10 years ago. So it's just like, it's kind of funny that those are the interviews that he's doing. I thought he wrote books. I thought he was a finger painter. I thought we were supposed to take him seriously.
Yeah. And the fact that Biden, you reminded me of Hunter Biden's 11-year pardon, which is absurd. In other words, like all the crimes that he committed during the Biden presidency, like he gets off scot-free anyway. So why doesn't he just acknowledge that the cocaine was his?
That's a great question. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but like it definitely was. But I think he just is a laughable character that is unpredictable, and because he's invincible now, I think he's just like having a fun time burning it down. But I don't even understand why people are
Yeah.
putting him on though. I don't understand like who initiated
Oh, I
the
love it.
invitation. That's my question. Like who
I
contacted
love
him
it.
and where did he contact them?
I want him to do it more. I can't wait to hear what other Democrat he's going to burn next. I
Same.
think we're like 2 interviews away, Bobby, from Hunter describing Russiagate in detail and how Obama came up with it to kill Trump. Like
Yeah.
yeah, we're so close. Just keep tugging those threads, baby. I think we're going to get something out of him.
I bet
Hey,
if
let
his
me ask you.
dad passed away, maybe he would just drop the hammer. You know what I mean? Like maybe if there was nothing, no one left to impress, maybe he would just burn the mother down. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, maybe he's raging. That's the best time to get to him. Rage more, brother.
Mhm.
Okay. Let me ask you more about his dad though, and the auto pen presidency. I know you've been very concerned about this because you like kind of love the country and think the Constitution should be respected. What do you think of this
Go
whole
figure.
saga with the auto pen and how we unwind it?
Well, I mean, I think what's actually even not necessarily more concerning, but kind of goes in conjunction with the auto pen is all of these medical professionals kind of like pleading the fifth. I think it was more than obvious to the naked eye, and it's not just. What actually really bothers me about the left is how they suggest like, oh, the right is ignoring Donald Trump's health problems or whatever else. Like, look at his ankles, and it's like, I think you guys like are clearly overlooking what all of us could see. So it really makes you wonder not only how many things were signed with the auto pen, but how many decisions were being made and whom was making those decisions. It's like, was it Kamala Harris? Because we all know that she's basically incapable of making a real decision. So if it wasn't her, then really who was it? How it gets unwound, I have no idea, but it certainly is cause for concern, and it definitely makes you wonder the legitimacy of all those things. I know that the auto pen is a commonly used thing. I know from some friends of mine that he used the auto pen more than I think many other presidents maybe have ever used it. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, but it really makes you wonder, aside from all that, is who made all those decisions and like where were they going with information? Like if Joe can barely pick up a chair on the beach and he's pooping himself and he needs his ice cream, like who is making the call? That's what I
Isn't
wonder.
isn't it a sign though of how little regard they have for the ability of the average American to think or process anything? They have to
Yeah.
think that we are catastrophically stupid to allow something like that to happen and to not notice it. Like, oh, like I love all of this stuff right now where everyone's like relitigating the cover up of Joe Biden's cognitive decline. Jake Tapper writes an entire book. Like, guys, his brain wasn't working. Did anyone notice this? Yes, the whole country noticed it. Do you really think that Americans are that stupid that we didn't notice?
Yeah, sometimes I think that like a lot of politics is just like a humiliation ritual where they're like, how
Exactly.
brazen could I be? Like, could I slap you directly in the face with something so obvious and try to make you feel stupid? It's like, could I gaslight you directly to your face about something that's clearly obvious to any person that's just paying attention with like basic cognitive function? So I think that that's kind of what it is where they're like, watch, we're going to take this guy that's barely alive and we're going to heave him into the spotlight. And then we're going to drag him along and inject him with medicines until the very end. And then we're going to take Kamala Harris and just toss her over our shoulder and put her in the spotlight and pretend like we liked her all along. And I think that that's kind of part of it. It's almost like flexing your power. It's like how
A 100%.
much could I get away with before I completely break you? So I think that that's kind of what they were doing, kind of proving how far they
No,
could go.
but
But apparently they
of
couldn't.
course.
But apparently they couldn't overcome a guy, getting shot. Like that. That was probably the part that they couldn't
No,
anticipate.
I mean, again, to your point that the Democrats are nothing but like some sort of brazen humiliation ritual for the country is like think
Yep.
about the top three spokesmen for that entire White House. It was it was Joe Biden who can't speak. It was Kamala
Hmm.
Harris who can't speak, and it was Karine Jean-Pierre who can't speak. And so, if each of the people who are meant to convey the agenda of that administration can't speak English, can't find the United States on a map,
Hmm.
kind of a humiliation ritual, don't you think?
I think, what's the funniest one though is John Fetterman. It's like, could there be more of a humiliation ritual then John Fetterman. It's like the least accomplished guy that was like basically a Nepo baby type. Daddy and mommy took care of him. And then he becomes a senator, not even a member of the House, not even the AOC, a senator, 6 years. And it's like, this guy has brain damage. And like, God bless the guy. Like, I wish nothing ill for a human person, my fellow man. But it's like, the guy can't speak. And not like can't speak like we're joking, like tongue in cheek, but it's like, he literally can't speak. Like, he has to read words on an iPad. That is the most humiliation ritual thing I've ever seen. And then to top it off, the cherry on top is they're like, we're gonna have him wear like scrumbly gym shorts from Ross Dress for Less and like a Carhartt hoodie on the floor, of the House of Representatives. It's like, good God, like they really want to demoralize us,
Yeah. Well, in fairness, he did get the Senate seat through a Make-A-Wish program. That's how that happened.
Correct.
But they forgot to tell him the day was over. He's been riding it out ever since. Okay, so we get a lot of declassification in the last week going on. I'm kind of curious what you think about this. Tulsi Gabbard has been revealing a lot of information. In fact, yesterday, you're going to love this, Bobby. Yesterday, they got the MLK files. We'll start there for a moment. They declassified the Martin Luther King files related to, the CIA and the FBI and what was going on with Martin Luther King. There's 250,000 pages of documents. And the New York Times, within an hour of publication, said that there was no new information in them. Which I saw the piece. I was like, wait a second. It was released an hour ago. There's 250,000 pages. You said there's nothing in this? I mean, it is about as predictable as it can possibly be that the media has no interest in giving President Trump credit when the whole country's been asking for basic things like the MLK files to be transparent forever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the hard thing for me to ignore is that, even though it's like the New York Times, the mainstream media is bad, it's like these are things that we've all known. It doesn't surprise me that they would say something like that. It's almost like as offensive to us as when they release like a 900-page budget bill or something, and then they have to pass it in 24 hours in the at the stroke of midnight. So that part is offensive as well. But I can't help but say, like, I do feel like a lot of these things, releases or otherwise, the Obama AI video putting in handcuffs, I think a lot of this stuff is distracting, which from what I think, and I think a lot of people think, especially Trump supporters, is how important and big the Epstein files were and still are, and maybe they will never be concluded. So me, as a person that supported Trump, that's not a psycho, that's not a person who has Trump derangement syndrome, looks at something like the Epstein files and the delivery of them, and it's almost like, if you delivered these things in such a way, in such an untrustworthy manner, then it's like, what do I even trust anymore? It's like, if you would lie about this, how do I take anything seriously? So I've been kind of disenfranchised the past few days for the MLK files, whether there's new stuff in there or not. It's like, to me, that's not as important as the modern day real scandal of the Epstein files, that those people are still alive. That troubles me a little bit.
Yeah, no, me too. I've been all over this Epstein thing. I think it's really important, and I don't like being misled by the attorney general. I don't like the hype train and then the fizzle out. That was horrifying, actually. And the attorney general should thank her lucky stars. She still has a job in light of all of that behavior. But I don't think the president wants another Jeff Sessions experience where he fires her early in the administration and creates more chaos for himself. So he's working with the team he has right now. But that said, the Russiagate disclosures are important. I'm not going to. There's no way I'm going to look at that and go, oh, that's just a distraction from Epstein. No. That's a big story. It's one of the biggest scandals in American history. We should unwind this. And one more, and since you brought up Epstein, I wanted to tell people we do have a little bit of breaking news on that subject this morning. It involves Ghislaine Maxwell. This is the Attorney General of the United States. If we can just pull up my screen, fellas, on this. It's a statement from Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. The Department of Justice does not shy away from uncomfortable truths, she writes, nor from the responsibility to pursue justice wherever the facts may lead. The joint statement by the DOJ and the FBI of July 6, remember that 1.5-page awful statement, remains as accurate today as when it was written, says Bondi. So she's standing by it. Namely, that in the recent thorough review of the files maintained by the FBI in the Epstein case, that's important. Listen to that language. The files that are maintained by the FBI, the ones that are just in the FBI's custody, that doesn't include anything that was destroyed or removed or anything else. No evidence was uncovered that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. President Trump told us to release all credible evidence. If Ghislaine Maxwell has information about anyone who has committed crimes against victims, the FBI and the DOJ will hear what she has to say. Therefore, at the direction of Attorney General Bondi, says Todd Blanche, I have communicated with counsel for Ms. Maxwell to determine whether she would be willing to speak with prosecutors from the department. I anticipate meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell in the coming days, says Blanche. Until now, no administration on behalf of the department had inquired about her willingness to meet with the government. That changes now. Okay, Bobby, let me get your reaction to what you're hearing here from the Deputy Attorney General and what the Attorney General is saying this morning.
Dude, absolutely love it. Fantastic. First part of the statement, a lot of blah, a lot of gobbledygook. The last part, the willingness to meet with Ghislaine Maxwell, fantastic. Now, does that mean that she is going to be the authority? Does that mean that her word is going to be taken as bond? It's like at the end of the day, Let's remember, like this person is in prison. Everybody thinks that she is as horrible, at least horrible adjacent as Jeffrey Epstein to begin with. Could they discredit what she has to say? But here's the thing. This is the
and
thing
if you're
that pisses me off
deceptive,
about it all.
and just one more point on that, I'm sorry. If you're deceptive enough to run a sex trafficking ring, chances are your integrity is not going to be great on all sorts of issues. So that's going to be an issue. But go ahead.
Right. But this is the thing that pisses me off, and I think pisses off so many people. It's like, why did you have to gaslight us to do this? Why didn't you do this before? Why did you have to drop this unsigned document on a Sunday night on a holiday weekend and then gaslight us 2 days later and pretend like nobody, why are you guys talking about this? Who cares about this? Why did you have to call us weak for caring about it? Why did you have to suggest that we're somehow stupid or living in the past, or that we're Democrats for thinking about this and caring about this? Why did you have to do that? Why did we all have to scream, and why did we all have to post videos, and why did we all have to make a stink for days to get them to do the thing that they should have done before? Why is that? Why did you have to gaslight us? What comes out in these files is almost not as important in a certain way as how they reacted to it. And that's what I think disenfranchised and incensed so many different people that have supported President Trump for the last 10 years. It's like he says, and look, I'm not comparing myself to him, and neither are we. He says things like, I had to go through all this, and I went through all these things, and all the pressure we all respect that and understand that. But we've all been there too. For the last 10 years, all of us have taken fire from family and friends, from work, from social circles, for supporting President Trump, and had to stand up and defend him and any other metric of things. And here's a thing that we all talked about, that he talked about, that his son talked about, that every one of his people that were put in the White House talked about for many years. Yeah. And here comes this bombshell, and you pretend it doesn't exist. So I just don't understand why we had to scream and why they had to pretend like we're weak, and now they could just do this. It's like, why didn't you do this before? I think that's what frustrates so many people.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. Among the things that I immediately suspected was that the Epstein thing was an intel operation that they were clumsily trying to put away and get us to stop talking about. I thought that right away. The other thing that stuck out to me is that it is true that the government has often manufactured hoaxes against President Trump. It wouldn't surprise me if there was some manufactured components that were left behind by the Biden administration anticipating the release of the Epstein files in order to try and create something to gum up the works yet again for another Trump administration. Wouldn't surprise me at all. So I kind of get the president's reflexes on a lot of this. But here's the issue that I think you've tapped into. President Trump, by force of personality, was trying to put this story to bed. And he was saying it's because the left was perpetrating a hoax in the midst of all of this. I'll take him at his word on that. I think the unforced error is to backhand your supporters in any way, who even today, those people who were accused of being weaklings, they're standing by the president. And I love the president. I think his agenda has been fantastic. But my criticisms here, especially for Pam Bondi, have been, I have been totally dissatisfied by what you promised and how you failed us. And let's see if we can't fix this. So if it takes browbeating to get them there, perfectly fine with that. I'm happy. And I'm glad. Look at this. Ghislaine Maxwell talking. The fact that no administration talked to this lady, nobody, how crazy is that detail from Todd Blanche? Not a single Justice Department official has talked to this lady in order to get her take on all of this. Madness. So yes, of course you should. And that whole, like, the throat clearing at the top, well, in the files that the FBI had, we didn't have anything to charge third parties. First of all, I'm already skeptical of that because, like, you have drivers and pilots and house people and all sorts of, like, there's got to be a huge, forget the clients, forget the list of people who were abusing these girls. The people who would be involved in a scheme to sex traffic have to be more than Ghislaine and Jeffrey Epstein. But
Correct.
finally, they're kind of tipping their hand here that, like, if we determine that she's got anything good, we can start some real prosecutions here. I just think that the president has demonstrated a lot of evidence lately. He does want the public to have answers on credible information.
I agree. I mean, I would agree and acknowledge that he's being responsive. And like that statement to me is like the first one that gives me like any hope over the course of the last week. But like, it's top of my mind right now because I recently watched this very popular and public murder trial for Karen Reed in Massachusetts. And it's like the thing about the case that was so perplexing, that was ultimately why she got off of murder, justified because she was innocent, is that it wasn't so much what the police did, but what they didn't do. It was the research that they didn't do. It was the people that they didn't talk to. It was the information that they did not collect that led you to believe what happened. It's like these are unprovable things because there's no such evidence to prove it. But it's like you can look at it with a discerning eye and say, what you chose to avoid leads me is the breadcrumb to where the truth is at. And I think the thing about the Epstein case is it's like how many things were not done, and it's like even if and how many things did they overlook? Something that could be this big to only involve these two people without any other credible evidence seems implausible. And then on top of all that, like I said, it's like if Trump had come out to all of the people that had supported him for all these years and been like, listen, this is a high level thing. This is a thing that's bad. We looked into it the best that we could. Here's why this video is real. Here's why this thing is real. Here's the actual evidence that we have, and here's what's been destroyed. Here's what we think has been destroyed. It's like all of those things could have helped, but to just be like, why are you guys even asking about that? It was the delivery that I think incensed so many people, not even so much what was there. So this is a good thing. I'll give credit where credit is due. This is a good thing.
Let me engage you in one more hypothetical here about what comes next.
Okay.
And it may be too early to render a judgment on this, but Ghislaine Maxwell is going to want something in exchange for this information.
Yeah.
My guess is she's going to want a reduction in sentence. She's going to want some sort of clemency. Are you okay with that trade? If she gives up the goods, if she exposes what we believe to be a sinister sex trafficking ring that involves a lot of powerful people, if she can cough up names, do you think it's worth any sort of clemency for her?
Yeah. And I'll tell you why, because you know, I watch a lot of true crime. I care a lot about true crime, and I've seen a number of different cases where there's been people where like a guy has killed a person and he knew where the body was buried, and the family was willing to give clemency to him to just show them where it was, to admit it. And the person like got off after 10 years or whatever. So I think it depends a lot on the deal. But I think that like we have to understand that Ghislaine Maxwell poses less of a threat to the American public than the leader of a large bank does, than a politician that's currently ruling over the people does. And I'm not saying you let her walk out the door tomorrow, but I do think that it's like if these people are exercising power over the way that we live our life presently, if they're influencing behavior, if they're influencing governance, if they're intertwined, and it's obviously more than one person. It's not like she's going to walk out there and be like Joe Biden. So it depends, but I would say yes. And here's the other thing: she's also served time already. Whoever this other person is out here cooking. So I think it all depends, but I would say yes. I would say it depending on what she says. Then yeah.
All right, we'll see what happens. All right, Bobby Sauce, thank you very much for joining me today. I appreciate you, man. Nice to meet you here.
It's my pleasure. Likewise, man. Thank you.
Good to talk to you. There's Bobby Sauce. He's Bobby Sausalito on X. You can find him there. Before we conclude today's program, and I do have a lot more to get to today, we'll do most of it on the radio show, from a lot of it on the radio show. And then, of course, I'm back with you tomorrow, 12 to 3 Eastern today. I've got the radio show. You can follow that at rumble.com/Vince or go to The Vince Show. TheVinceShow.com, where we have our local radio listings. Before we conclude today's program, I do want to acknowledge news that you may have heard by now, but if not, I'll share with you about the passing of producer Joe Armacost. The Dan Bongino Show which of course is the audience that I'm speaking to now, was of course created over these many years by Dan and all of the success he's had being such a great communicator and building such a great audience, for which I'm very grateful. I love this audience. But Dan, of course, would be the first one to tell you that he didn't do it alone, that he did it, especially with producer Joe by his side for a decade. Since the very seminal moments of the Dan Bongino show, Joe was there to help guide this program into becoming the behemoth that it eventually became. And we found out this week that Joe has passed away. Dan posting to X yesterday upon learning the news, Joe, rest peacefully with the Lord. A nice message from Dan to his longtime producer. The fellas here on the show know and love Joe and had worked with him for years. That includes Guy and Justin. I know Guy last night was on with Haley Karania. He did say, he talked a little bit about this. Fellas, do we have anything from the Haley show, or should I just direct people towards it to see the clip from that? Okay, good. Yeah, so if you want to see what Guy had to say on the subject, you can check out Haley Karania's program from yesterday about that. But we also have for you a clip of Joe himself talking about his sincere love and appreciation for this great audience, which has been so supportive of Dan and the great work that they did through the years. Here's a little bit from Joe.
Just want to thank everybody for hanging with us through the year, through the troubles, through the good times. Great, great audience. Everybody here loves to do this show. We love to do this show, and I want you to know that from the bottom of my heart.
Everybody here loves this show. We love doing it, and he wants you to know that from the bottom of his heart. I'm glad the fellows were able to find that and share that with us today. It's a good message from Joe Armacost. Everybody here mourning the passing of producer Joe. We are offering our prayers up for the repose of his soul. We're offering our prayers up for his family as they go through the loss of their loved one. And I can see the chat here. Rest in peace, Joe. A lot of nice messages saying goodbye to producer Joe, who, again, is and was a fixture on this program. And for that, we'll be eternally grateful, saying goodbye to Joe today. My thanks, as always, to you for being the best audience in media. I recognize now what Joe recognized so long ago, and I'm very grateful to you. I'm very, very grateful to you, and I know Joe was too. You could hear it there. All right. We'll conclude the Vince Show today with this Vince podcast here on Joe, and I'll be back with you tomorrow. We have a lot to get to, that big radio show coming up today as well. Stay with us. Coming up next here on Rumble, fellas, what's it going to be today? Coming up next on Rumble, Ruben. He'll be with you in just a moment. Hold tight. Here comes Dave Rubin.